Welcome in, everybody. It's All Pro Lines, the podcast. Thanks for being here. I got a great guest today. It's Tom Simmons, comedian, longtime friend of the podcast, contributor, funny dude, nice guy. Off a cruise ship recently, I believe. We'll have to check with him about that. Lots to talk about. I just got back from the Dakotas. It was fun, man. I really enjoyed it. I had 3 nights. First night was travel. I hung with Brian Miller, another great friend of the podcast and great contributor. We had dinner and watched a little bit of the Thursday night game. And then I drove up to St. Cloud, where I stayed in the hotel that had the famous vending machine. Some of you have seen this on social media. The vending machine had a couple of 3 of the drinks that were handwritten, and one was Cock Zero. Non-native English speaking is fun sometimes, isn't it? Honey, it's no calories. Cock Zero. Then I went to Fargo, which I've never been to Fargo. I don't know how. There aren't many places left in America I've never been. I've never been to Fargo. I've done many other cities in the Dakotas, never Fargo. And now I remember why. There's no radio exposure there for me. And one woman came to see me on purpose from far away. The rest of the crowd was small and great and never heard of me, which is fine. But the town is great. The town it's exactly what you want it to be. And I stay at the Radisson, like right downtown, and the gig was like 50 yards away, and you walk past a little Christmas trees and decoration out in this little court area, and there's ice skating, and then there's a street with just bars and restaurants and life and Christmas lights and old theater, and it was so cool. It was great. And my good buddy, my radio friend James from South Dakota came up to see me, and we ran around and got drunk in the town, and it was cool. I loved it. And I just walked home, sleep. Oh, nice bed. Sleeping after drinking with the walking. So nice. But it did snow when I was there, which made me a little nervous. And the first hour of the drive from Fargo to Sioux Falls was a little tricky for a Georgia boy. I did all right. And then Sioux Falls was great. Gritty band bar, and the crowd was awesome. And I could have talked to them for 2 or 3 hours. It was just a pleasure. I got a standing ovation, and I got to see some other great friends up there. So it was nice. It was 3 nights on the road, 2 shows, friends every night, and some nice folks and good crowds. And I'm blessed, and I'm lucky, man. I love my job. I should do it more often. Let's check on the folks here. Heather's in. Ron, what's up? Good to see you guys. Thanks for being here. It means a lot, guys. All right, we can dive in and do a few jokes here. Let's see. Oh, let's do a couple announcements. The other gigs coming up. Atlanta. I'll be in Atlanta Christmas week, December 22 and 23, I believe. And then January, I'm doing Ashtabula and Erie. And there's some other stuff on the calendar, and I'm adding lots of stuff coming up. And Patreon. We encourage you to go to patreon.com and type in All Pro Lines and support the show. That's all. Underdog Fantasy. If you're not doing it yet, you're silly. It's fun, especially for island games. We got 2 tonight, 2 Monday night games. No one explained why, but we got 2 simultaneous. They're not staggered. Perfect for island games. Put a little over 242 yards for Patrick Mahomes and under 72 yards for the running back, and over, it's fun. You can just pick a few things and cluster them or not, and you can actually do little fantasy drafts just for the weekend. There's a lot of cool ways to sort of enjoy football a little extra. I love it for island games in particular. That's my taste. Let's do feedback.
The 2-minute drill.
Falcons, baby. Falcons are still number 1. They're technically second, I think, in the tiebreaker. There are 3 teams atop the division at 6 and 7. Oof. This is the worst division since long division. That's a bad division. This is It's a bad three-way. Skyline Chili's got a better three-way. The Golden Girls would have a better three-way. It's the Falcons owner. That's why they call him Arthur Blank, because it's better than Arthur Fuck. That's why. Arthur Cocksucker. Didn't occur to you to get a top 50 quarterback over the last 2 years at any point to run a $6 billion franchise? We lost 2 more big name quarterbacks this week. That's really the big news, sort of, league wide. It's gotten completely out of hand. The NFL's gone through so many starting quarterbacks. It's like the whole league is the Browns. Nobody wants that. CBS should have a new drama investigating quarterback injuries. NCIS QB. Maybe we could rename the season Last Quarterback Standing, because that's pretty much whoever has a quarterback who's a starting quarterback. You still have a starting quarterback in week 15 of 2023. You win, dude. So many injuries. Quarterbacks are going down more than Andy Dick. Huh? That's a lot of... I could see Tom Simmons give me a come on. Still laughing. There's no there are no marquee names left. It's like some of the comedy clubs I work. We got the biggest name in comedy, but what was the one guy, Tom, from way back? The Jim, what was it? Jim Beam, 100 Proof Comedy or something. We had a couple of those. Anyway, there's some bad comedy names out there. They barely even get to hit the quarterbacks anymore. These new quarterbacks made out of balsa wood. What's happening? Can we have Tom Brady donate his ankles and knees to science? Can we figure out what's happening? Patrick Mahomes is pissed, man. That's really all you see if you turn on SportsCenter right now. Cripes. He lost it on the sidelines and was screaming at the refs. That must have sounded hilarious, like cutting off Kermit the Frog in traffic. Mahomes is biracial, and yet he put the zebras on blast. Huh? There's a joke I probably can't do on the radio, but I can do here. They were mad. Actual Chiefs complained less about their losses. Usually when someone in Kansas is complaining this loudly, it's because they're teaching evolution at the school. I have to look at it. Do they even play Kansas? That's probably irrelevant. It's probably someone's gonna go. They play in Missouri, dumbass. I'm sure I'm gonna get that note from somebody. Here's an idea, Chiefs. Score more than 17 points in the first 59 minutes. Then you won't have this problem. This offense, you're very un-Chiefs-like this year. Get it together. Get a good receiver for this poor guy. Cripes. The Cowboys look good. They might earn the right to get blown out in the playoffs by the Niners. That'll be fun for everyone. Jerry Jones has no issue with the brotherly shove. Is that because that's how he gets the strippers into the limo? Just guessing. Also, which sounds more like a gay bar, the brotherly shove or the tush push? Those are both a little. Jets Colts scoreless in the first half. So are Vikings Raiders. This Sunday, we had more zeros than a white pride rally. It's a lot of zeros. Damn. Vikings beat the Raiders 3-0. Frank Wycheck took the easy way out. It was 0-0 at the 2-minute warning in the game. This is true. Listen to this stat. It's the lowest scoring indoor game in NFL history. Nobody could score. It was like a straight guide, an Indigo Girls show. The Raiders got shut out. Apparently what doesn't happen in Vegas also stays in Vegas. Deep in the third quarter, the Vikings had negative total passing yards. Josh Dobbs is making me question how hard it really is to be a rocket scientist. Jefferson got hurt. He's been out for a month and a half. He comes back, second play of the game for him. He gets hurt. It sucks, man. The Vikings were encouraged that it was only an internal chest injury. Like, I'm not a doctor, but there's some important shit in there. What are you talking about? Vikings offensive coordinator was arrested for DUI, but the team still took him to Vegas, which I believe in Vegas they call doubling down. Your drinking is out of control, Wes. We'll talk about it at the casino bar. Joe Flacco back in style, like an old pair of blue jeans. He's like a kid visiting his old high school. He gets older and they stay the same age. A Jaguars employee is being investigated for stealing $22 million. I'm just guessing here. Is it Urban Meyer? How do you think you could steal $22 million and get away with it? What do you do? Steal 700,000 and get the fuck out of there. It's ridiculous. Here's a joke from Tom Simmons. This is a good segue. The Chargers, they lose more games than people lose Chargers. I'm just saying, they've left a few games in the hotel room. You know what I'm saying? All right. And with that, we'll bring in the man who wrote that joke and many others. A great friend of mine, a good dude, Tom Simmons. Hey, buddy.
Hey, man. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. I forgot that joke. That was a few weeks ago after they'd lost or something, right?
They've been winning since. I had to hold on to it.
Yeah, good for you. I thought I had some Patrick Mahomes wide receiver, like get him some. When you said that premise, I was like, oh, I thought I wrote a couple of those a few weeks ago too, because off of one of your memes, you'd said something about it.
We did a couple of those because it was definitely a problem at the time.
Yeah.
The wide receivers, they need to get him a wide receiver one because his wide receivers are all number two.
Yes,
there were a couple of those we did right away.
Yeah.
Which I still think is true. In fact, there's some stat that they had on SportsCenter last night. It was like the Chiefs wide receivers are at 8% drops, which is some crazy number that you never see it that high. And the next closest team is at 5%. And most of the teams are down like 2 and 3 and whatever.
Wow, it's really that low of drop balls?
I guess if they define it as super catchable and you don't catch it, I'm surprised it's that low too. Actually, I had the same thought.
That's a really low number, I would think. Because me and my son were just trying to think. He was trying to figure. He asked me what my top 5 receivers of all time were, and if Julio Jones was in it.
Oh,
and I was like, I don't think so. But then as soon as I started trying to name some, I was like, I couldn't. Like like the guy from the Lions,
Megatron,
like somebody said Terrell Owens, but I just something about him. I know he's been great, but his drop rate I think was pretty high. Like
he would make spectacular ones, and then what?
By the way, Mahomes was complaining so much, right? Making so much noise about those calls, right? Even his good neighbor called and complained.
Yeah, it should be a joke about the ads. I was thinking of the one where he shares the chicken McNuggets with Andy Reid or something.
Yeah, all the things they do with Andy Reid are about him. They're all like fat jokes. And he's lost like 150 pounds in the last year. But
is that right?
I don't know. He just looks smaller, but he maybe hasn't. But they're really going with Andy Reid's a fat guy thing.
I can't believe he doesn't have a Waffle House ad with that
yeah
play sheet. It looks just like a Waffle House menu.
Yeah, that's a good point.
And he holds it to his face like he's sniffing it, like it smells like hash browns or something.
Yeah, don't do that with a Waffle House menu. I would not recommend that.
Where are you? What's going on? Are you just back from a boat? Where'd you go?
I am, and I leave again tomorrow. So I fly to Belize tomorrow and get on another one.
Shit.
Yeah. This one was a weird one, dude. It was like when you do a theater show, you have to do totally different than what you do in the club, right? So they have a club and a theater, and then usually it's like we do a combined theater show where we split the time on one show. So you just save stuff. You have like 7 shows in the club, and this time it was 2 shows in the club, a family one and an adult show, and then 2 shows in the theater, a family and adult, that were 45 minutes each on their own and needed to be totally different than what I'd done in the club. And then I was already like, all right, wow, okay, I have that, I guess, I can do that. And then like somebody in the Donna Summer show got hurt, and then I get a call, don't answer your phone on a day off. And they're like, can you come cover the show? So it's like that. So I did another. So it's like I started the week with a theater show, and then it was like I had to save another. So I was in panic mode. So a couple shows in the club were sort of panicky, and I'm like, oh, I'll try crowd work. And again, I realized I don't know how to do that.
It's so weird after all these years that you're not great at that. Me too. I don't love that part of the show, but
I
I'm
I
willing to
can
do it if I need to.
if it's part if it's part of the show, like it somehow it happens organically, you know what I mean? Or I notice something and like you can and it can flow back into the show. Like that stuff I'm pretty good at,
Right.
in the moment, sort of talking, blah blah blah. But asking people how they're doing and what do you do and blah blah. And no matter how many times I try that, I never have an answer for what they do. It's like I've never heard of that profession. I've never, you know.
Yeah. Well, the problem for
I'm
you
not
is
very
you don't care about these people.
right.
I don't care what you do. I don't really want to talk to you. It's hard to fake it.
Oh, maybe that is it. I got
I
it's
have a
hard.
little bit of that sometimes. There's some like, well, I'm the assistant to the. I can't even. It's hard for me to even stay focused. I'm so disinterested in the job or whatever.
Yeah, so I'm trying to start asking people like if I do, it's like more like, so what are you good at? You know what I mean? Or what was the last book you read? Something that's just different.
Right.
But
Yeah.
but still,
Right.
I'm going to start pushing myself to get better at that because I have the ability to talk. I'm just talking to you. Yeah, I've known you for 87 years, and I still
Yeah.
I'm not very good at this. I'm not very good at talking to other humans.
It's what you do for a living.
I know. I know. I know.
Well, that's impressive that you could pull that off, man. That's cool. That's really that's a lot of keeping track and organizing and separating, and to have a menu that large to be able to dissect it out like that. It's pretty amazing.
Well, I think a lot of guys do it, and a lot of guys can. It's just you don't really and you have to rely on really old jokes that you have, everything you've ever written. You know what I mean? Which is
Right.
cool, but and then just working a bunch of different places and always having to work that muscle, like it's like I feel like that's what I'm working towards anyway. Is trying to have like 5 different 45 minute. Just so I want to have so much material that it's every show is fun. You know what I mean?
Yeah, right. It's impressive though. It's hard to do. There's so
So
much
I'm building
minutia in
towards that. Yeah.
each few seconds is very rich, and to have that much that's on your tongue and ready to go and polished and good and accessible and not too filthy and not too not been done. I mean, you have to check so many boxes. It's pretty cool. Is COVID changed anything about the ships at all?
No.
They're pretty much just the
No.
same. A handful of people wear masks, and everyone just goes about their lives, and it's fine.
Yeah, everybody's less paranoid. I was doing a thing. I was doing a thing at the buffet. Like they have a water thing where if you get your drinks and the things, they have an ice and water thing, and it has a sign above it. Please don't fill your water bottles. Use a fresh glass. Blah blah blah. And everybody just fills their water containers with it. So I would walk by, and if I saw somebody do it, I wouldn't say anything. I would just reach up like right above and just point to the sign, like put my finger on the sign, and then just keep walking. I'm so obnoxious.
I think those kind of things work though. I remember the one that got me was years ago. I was riding my bike on one of the paths in New York City that, there's all these great bike paths along the river. And a biker that was coming the other way just rode by and just goes, "Nice helmet." I wasn't wearing one. And made me think about it a little bit. I definitely wore a helmet more after that.
Because of the shame the guy gave you, or because you're like, you know what, he's right, I need a helmet, or you're
Yeah,
like,
it wasn't shame because I knew he was right. I should wear a helmet. So you're in New York City. We'll put a biking helmet on. What are you doing?
okay.
Nice
Yeah,
helmet. Like I never even saw his face. He just rode by. I just heard it.
Yeah, you giving me shit about throwing my gum on the ground when I was in my late 20s, whatever, like made me never do that again.
Really? Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm surprised.
You're like, what are you doing? Throwing gum on? Like, there's a trash can over there, and it was already like a don't litter and blah 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 guy, but I was like, yeah, it's just gum, and you were just like, you're such a dick. Like in your head, I was the one that caused you that day to step in gum. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah. Well, I always hated this sort of group punishment for things. Like, it never occurred to me to put gum on the bottom of a table, but now I can't chew gum because somebody else did. That's not fair. That's one of those, like, gum's always been, I don't even care about gum. I don't even chew gum, but it's just like an easy example of like group punishment. Pisses me off.
Yes. Yeah.
And then, see, also you get drinking laws and weed and, fireworks and everything else, like gambling and poker and sports betting, all these things. Like, well, there's a handful of people who can't handle it, so I can't do it. Well, fuck you. That's a crazy rule.
Oh, okay. Well, do you think if you were an athlete, you should be able to gamble? Like, if you worked for the Jacksonville Jaguars, should you be allowed to steal 22
No, I
million
think
or whatever?
that's an important line to draw. I mean, even if it's not particularly useful, it's the perception that it could be is bad enough. I understand that the Shield is going to be super tough on those kind of moments, and they should be. I get it. Actually, I heard, who convinced me to not worry about that anymore was Pac-Man Jones. There's a guy who hasn't really followed all the rules all the way through, and I saw him on McAfee or something, and he was talking about, I think it was Calvin Ridley, or it wasn't Ridley, but it was the one after that. It was the receiver in Detroit. He was like,
that didn't really affect their season, did it? Like, they got everybody back, and they've gotten worse. Like, did they get everybody back? There was like 3 or 4 of them that got suspended, right, in the Lions facility.
Yeah, but I think he was the only like marquee name, and he hasn't really been good even when he's played. I don't know if he might be one of those knuckleheads that never gets it together. But so Pac-Man Jones is like, no, dude. They talk about it in the meetings. They talk about it in the meeting again and again, and you have a specific thing where you go and you talk about it, and they have signs in the locker room. Don't gamble. Like, he's like,
so you're just being a dick if you do it.
You know what the rule is. Don't be an asshole. Like, it's easy. It's easy to follow the rules, according to Pac-Man, and they're not subtle about it. Like, it's a point of emphasis in the league right now. And I
my
get
son's
it.
My son's got a list when he's going to he's pitching at a college, so he's got a list from the NCAA about not allowed to be in Super Bowl pools and any of that stuff.
Oh wow, it's interesting.
Yeah,
Super
same
Bowl
thing with other things. Like, he's like, I can't drink. There's certain like a Red Bull or a certain level of energy drinks that he's not allowed to drink within an hour of performance. It's like there's a lot of stuff that you wouldn't even think with it, but he'd read it and he'd be like, wow, all right, well, I can't use that protein powder either because it has so it's interesting what you got to pay attention to.
Right.
But Pac-Man's right. I mean, they start telling him immediately,
Yeah. Yeah. Especially on something that's like the central, touchy issue in the league at the time. It's a pro league. These aren't little kids, These are grown-ass men making a lot of money to play a game. You got to follow the rules. Seems fair.
By the way, and where I live in North Carolina, half the season or at least a third of the season, we weren't getting Fox on our AT&T station. They're like, because they're in their little contract disputes. Sometimes the station gets shut down. So no football games on that channel for a while, right? And then they're back. And now this week, I found out CBS is gone. I'm home for one day where I can watch sports, and I want to watch some football, and the stupid Carolina game is on Fox. And because it's the local game, the 2 games are on CBS, and they're shut down. It's so annoying.
I had this year. I tried a different way to watch the games, and I have to say it's been a pain in the ass. I think of that Gaffigan joke. They should put the streaming services together and bundle it and call it cable.
Yes.
Because now you have to have Amazon so you could watch the Thursday night game. And then you have to have, what I tried was, I'll have the NFL.com package and if you do the upgrade, then you get Red Zone. So I'm like, I'm good on Sundays. But Sunday night is NBC, which is different.
Right.
And then Monday night is ESPN, which is different. Or ABC, which they don't have on the Sling, and it's just like it's such a pain in the ass to keep up with it all. So
You'd think football would make it easier. The NFL would be like, these games are going to be on for the brand, but I guess not. It's so
but they're
weird.
clearly leveraging it, and because they're making so much money, some of these places it's probably a loss leader for them, but they want the NFL, and so they want to be a part of that conversation. So, it's a pain. And here's one thing I tried. I'll have ESPN Plus, that way I can get the articles and I can watch Monday nights and whatever. ESPN Plus doesn't include ESPN. You can't watch Sports Center and you can't watch the Monday night game. Well, I'm like, well, fuck this. That's the whole reason I'm paying you fools.
Yeah, I had the same. I had the same when the MLB package when I was as a baseball fan. Like, I got it for a couple seasons. I don't even know why I got it the second season because it's useless. I live in North Carolina. I want to watch the Braves games, but now since it's within the Atlanta area, they won't play the game because it's blacked out in the region. Like, so stupid.
I can't believe they still are messing with blackouts.
The only game I care about is the one on my team, and I can't watch it for 3 hours after it's over. It's so stupid.
That is stupid. Yeah, I'm with you on that. That's they should that should be in the pile with the chasing players about smoking weed, and like, we're done with that now. Marge is in here, and Jared says from Wisconsin, go Pack go. It's tonight, double Monday night.
The Packers are a good. Them and Denver have really turned it around. Owen and I were talking about that yesterday. Like, this
after being dead in the water,
they were jokes, and now they're like, oh, okay, they're in it. There's so many,
right?
Like, it's so weird to see like how many teams are still alive in the playoffs. And
right. Benjamin said, "Pause McAfee for you, pal." Oh, that's nice. Take that, McAfee. He's probably reeling over this news.
I'm going the opposite way of covering up. You know what I'm saying? Instead of the muscle shirt, I'm going shirt, jacket. I should throw on a hoodie over. Like, you know what I'm saying?
I thought your neckline's a little low, though. It's a little, that's nice.
Oh. It's a little gift for the ladies.
Oh, we got Eric says, go Cowboys. All right, we got people from all over.
Yeah, they look pretty good too on paper, because I didn't watch.
I got a comment from Tom Simmons on here. I didn't catch till now. Someone's going to call you out for politics on the evolution joke. Yeah, that's probably true.
For sure. Leave your politics out of this.
Is that the Scopes trial? Is that what that reference is? It's been a minute. When is it too soon? It's not too soon. Scopes trial comedy. Too soon. Jerry Oliver. Yeah, Jonathan says they play Missouri, dumbass. Yeah, thank you. Fair. I thought maybe that was right.
He's a little over the top mad about his guy was offsides.
Yeah.
That's the rule, you know?
That's the rule, man. It's clearly like when you're yelling at your kid because your gig sucked or whatever, it's like it's not really what you're yelling about. This team has been frustrated. It must be frustrating for him all year to score. Most of the seasons, he scores 30, 40 points every game. And this year it's like 17, 21, 19, right?
Take 11 less million a year and get yourself a receiver. You know what I'm saying? You can't pay everybody, right?
Yeah, it's a good point. Or they should.
Receivers a hard position too, man. Like, who are your top 5 receivers of all time?
Of all time, you got to put Jerry Rice and Randy Moss in there immediately, and then the other 3 you could pick from 25 guys. Right?
Isn't it crazy that there's that few that you think you'd be fighting over it?
I think you probably put Megatron in there. I think Julio makes that list of all time.
But don't you think immediately? I think Julio. Almost those 6 years of how great he was, or almost overshadowed by how much he sat out with toe injuries or whatever. You know what I mean?
He definitely had injuries, and he also had some weird allergy to the end zone. He just didn't score as much as most big time wideouts did. He always his touchdown totals even on his good years were 6, 5, 7. Yeah.
He's the opposite of Chris Carter. He just doesn't score touchdowns.
Yes, the opposite of Chris Carter. See, Chris Carter, you could talk about. Steve Smith. There's some good ones, man. Antonio Brown in his prime, man, he was unbelievable.
Yeah.
Larry
But do you
Fitzgerald. There's a bunch of Larry Fitzgerald.
Fitzgerald is like, he's there, been there for, he was there. He's probably got him and Rice were the extended career versions,
Just for
like
fun.
a
Let me
Steve
pull up,
Largent type. But yeah, Owen and I were talking about that too. Like everybody has like 5 or 6 year runs and then they're done at this skill position. It doesn't really last that long. Michael Irvin maybe in there.
Michael Irvin. That's interesting. All-time leaders in receiving yards. Rice is 1. Fitzgerald is 2. I didn't realize he was that high.
He was good. He's been good for 12 to 13 years. Yeah.
Yeah. T.O. is 3 on this list. Randy Moss, Isaac Bruce, Tony Gonzalez. Man, you're a tight end. You make this list. That's amazing. That's it's a testament to longevity. He played for so long.
By the way, I was thinking about this. You know how you're talking about Belichick doesn't win now that he doesn't have Tom Brady, and so maybe it's Tom Brady that was great. You know who had a terrible year last year without Gronkowski? So maybe it's Gronk that was so great.
Yeah, Gronk was great. Just to power through this list a little bit: Tim Brown, Steve Smith, Marvin Harrison, Reggie Wayne, Andre Johnson, James Lofton, Chris Carter, Anquan Bolden, Henry Ellard. That's the first name I don't know. What year was that? Oh, that was
is it
80s and
Minnesota
90s.
Viking and the Purple People Eater that was named Ellard?
He was the lineman, though. I talked to him this year. Julio Jones on this list is 16 for total yards ever, kind of thing. Torrey Holt, Andre Reed. There's some good ones, man. Antonio Brown's pretty far down here. Jimmy Smith.
I have a brand new pack of 1990s football cards.
What? You gonna
What
open
word
it
didn't
right
you
now?
understand? Yeah.
Wait, give me the background. What year is it from?
1990.
Where did you get this?
They're in the studio here. One of the guys that's in the studio had a few here.
So what do you?
I won't know any of these. Keith Willis.
You want a rookie card from some giant star? That's what you root for?
I guess so. Ronnie Lott, baby.
Ronnie Lott. He was a great one.
Mark Rippon. It's amazing how many you don't know. Simon Fletcher. God, so many you never heard of before. Steve McMichael. It's amazing that you can be the greatest at something you do, and then you're flipping through and you're like, never heard of him. Wouldn't make the team. Probably wouldn't start at Georgia.
Yeah, right. Ewan put a joke in here. People fear COVID these days as much as other NFL teams fear the Panthers. God, the Panthers suck. For all the talk about how the
oh my God, that's the worst thing about living in North Carolina is having to watch those games. Oh my God, and I'm a Falcons fan, so I could just watching that game yesterday is just so brutal. How about Zach Wilson? You don't have anything about him. He finally has a good game, and that was crazy.
We don't write about successes here with jokes. we make fun of you when you fall down. We don't.
That'd be funny to have a little quick segment of like saying nice things about people you shit on all year, right?
That's how we do kudos.
Yes.
Kudos to Zach Wilson.
Yeah, Desmond Ridder had a good game.
I didn't watch it. I was traveling, but I was following along with the stats, and I was like, interception. Ew.
Fumble for a safety, yes.
And it didn't convert on the third down. I didn't see it. But the eyeball test, he looked good?
I went by stats also, but he looked pretty good statistic-wise. And then my son pulled it up. He was like, as I was doing the same thing, complaining, he's like, you can just go online and watch it. I'm like, I don't know how to do that. You know what I mean? And then he's got the Falcons on and watch the end of the game. And I was like, I could have been watching this the whole time. But it was back and forth.
He did complete a bunch of passes to Drake London finally, and he threw a touchdown to Kyle Pitts. As a fantasy dork, I was happy to see all that stuff. Like he's a functional quarterback.
And I saw a running back, which I haven't really got to see make any plays this year. And watching him take one down the sideline, it was like, wow, that guy's good.
He should be good. He's the
God,
eighth overall pick.
They should be getting him the ball. I'm just throwing that out there.
He's supposed to be generational prospect. He's supposed to take over the league for a few years. if they
Well,
just give him a chance to. Cripes.
maybe there's a generation, like it's because he's a generation generation Y, right?
Is he? I guess he
Um,
is.
yeah. So maybe there's
Holy
some characteristics that match up. Generation Y, aren't they giving him the damn ball?
Oh,
All
yeah.
right.
Boom. Comedy. So where did you go on the cruise?
I don't know. I
That's so funny you
my,
don't know.
my schedule's so backward. I've been sleeping days and doing shows at night. I go and getting breakfast at 6 o'clock in the morning and then going to bed. It's just been I've been reading. So I read the Elon Musk biography, Walter Isaacson's thing, and then I just
Huh.
read like three books for the week, and just wrote comedy and read books.
That's great. That's a fun life.
Yeah, I guess it is. I've
I
been
listened
sort
to
of
like a
reading a lot.
90-minute interview with Musk this week. He's a fucking character, man. I never really listened to him for more than a few minutes in a row before.
Yeah, I before I read this, and I'm reading this book not because I'm an Isaacson fan. Like I stumbled across a Da Vinci biography by him years ago, and then it was like I just was fascinated. I never even knew anything really about Da Vinci, and it was so cool to me. And then then I was like Einstein one, and then I just kept reading like all of it, not all of them, but most of them. Benjamin
Huh.
Franklin, I think he's got. So he's and then this one, I was like, okay, it's the Steve Jobs one. So, but I realized that, so I don't know much about Musk. So actually on my podcast, I did like 3 episodes that were sort of centered around, I'm getting ready to read this book, and everybody has these opinions on him, and I don't really know why so many people hate him or so many people like him. It's just
Yeah, he's a
interesting,
lightning rod right now. I do think the idea of him being anti-Semitic is it feels a little forced, but he did repost some dumb things. Like he does make mistakes, that's for sure.
Yeah, he does. Yes. But he's also like got basically got us back to being and going to outer space. He built a company off of getting to outer space and taking over for NASA basically, and lowering a lot of the prices. And what I mean, this book is a little fluffy, and it's very pro Elon Musk. You know what I mean? So it's a little, it makes me not maybe trust Isaacson as much, because it doesn't seem as like, here's why people think he's a dick.
Yeah.
Although it does describe like he's worse than Steve Jobs, even as far as just like, all right, we're cleaning house. Why isn't that guy working? Sleeping under his desk and working 20 hours a day and expecting everybody else to do the same. And you know what I
Right.
mean? And just thumbing his nose at regulation, and like, hey, if it doesn't break the laws of physics, we'll do it that way. Like, why is that rule in place? Whose name is on that? You don't know, you're fired. He's like that kind of.
Yeah,
Although in his
yeah.
interviews he doesn't seem anything like that, but he's so like, he doesn't really have much empathy or care about other people. Although supposedly that's sort of the motivation that's driving him, is to have electric cars, not just to build a new car company, but to help human beings get off fossil fuels. And same thing with getting to Mars. He's like, we got to broaden the civilization. And sort of this sort of the ideal that he paints in this book is that he's sort of driven by that stuff, by reading books, science
Right.
fiction, stuff like that.
Yeah, I'm okay with accepting that peak of the pyramid crazy genius will not be good at some social things. Like, it's fine. I'm okay with that. I don't expect him to be. It's fine. This is a real game changer. This guy is, as much as anybody, is morphing some of the things about the way we live. He deserves a lot of credit for that. When he
But
was
I
on
think
Bill
people are
Maher.
saying he's lying and not doing it. He's taking over other people's company. There's a lot of like, that's why I'm confused, because it's like I don't feel like most of us really know. And out of nowhere, this guy in the last, he's like Marco's Pizza. Like all of a sudden, he's just everywhere. And like you said, and so much sort of influence of where our culture and society is. And it's like, where did this? We don't really know like where he came from and like what drives him and all that kind of stuff. He has more kids than Travis Henry. I'll tell you that.
He does? Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah,
didn't
you
know
don't
that.
know that either, right? It's like he
No.
believes in. He's got some weird, you know, smart people need to breed more, and overpopulation isn't a thing. We need to, we need to be having more kids and stuff like that.
Wow, that's interesting. I didn't know that. Yeah,
He's
he's a
very
character.
pro democracy, yet but when he's in charge, he's sort of a brutal authoritarian. So it's he's
Right.
got a
In his
little bit of
companies.
that. I'm taking
Yeah.
over Twitter because it's free speech, and then when people say shit about him, he's like, block them, like get them
Yeah,
off
right.
the thing, So he's not
Yeah.
like a lot of us, probably not living up to what his ideals are.
He makes sense that he's a bit of a lightning rod. Yeah, right. I get it. Yeah. He did have some points that I thought were really compelling on the, so he said something about, because whatever I've tweeted 33,000 times, and this one was probably my worst one, and so I'm painted to be the worst person in the world. He goes, but I've also, and he like breaks down, started a company, made the best cars with the most, that's made the biggest dent in fossil fuel usage. So you could argue that I'm the best person in the world as well. Like he's very like left
Yes,
brain kind of nerdy about how he kind of breaks through things and talks them through. I find that appealing because I used to hang out with those guys. Those were the chess kids that I used to hang out with. It's that group, the ones that grow up to, study AI. He's fucking terrified about AI, by the way. He thinks it's the
that's
biggest
why.
threat to
Yeah,
humans, which I think is
and that's
interesting. Like,
why
oh man.
that's why he's in the book. That's his drive to get in, because he's had these conversations with the head of Google and the heads of these other places that are doing AI, and he's like, we need to protect humanity in this first, and
Right.
and they're in his eyes, they don't care about that, and he does, and
Right.
he really, he's egomaniac enough that he's like, I should be the leader. My ideas
Yeah, of
are the
course.
best ones,
Yeah, of course.
and
Yeah.
then he's working to make that happen. Yeah, but that's what I like too. It's like this. I'm drawn to like the fuck you, I'm doing it my way, and then my way turns out to be right.
Right.
Like you can't get to space that way or whatever, and he fuck you. This is the way we're doing it. You know what I mean? If it doesn't defy the laws of physics, we're going to change. He's, like.
Yeah.
And then cutting down, figuring out ways to do it more efficiently, and just driving people, and we need that,
Yeah, I agree. Yeah. All right. Let's do this.
But now it's time for which comes first. Oh yes, it's time for which
let's talk
comes
football,
first. Now tell me, will this happen before that happens?
That happens.
It's time for which comes first.
All right, Tom Simmons.
I really like that thing, man. That song's grown on me.
Yeah. That wasn't the one that made you go,
first.
some of these are a little long. Which one was it? Wasn't that one?
It could be any time, man.
The Falcons could host a playoff game, and if they do, it will likely be the Cowboys or the Eagles with some kind of 12-5 kind of record. Even better than that, probably on the current trajectory. So which comes first, a Falcons hosting a playoff game or a new coach?
I think the Falcons will host a playoff game next year, and he'll still be coach. But that's not how we're supposed to play the game.
Well, you can certainly
So,
tell me
yes.
why you think the answer is what it is, and I can give you this Falcons' remaining schedule, which I was curious about. I didn't know this.
I think
Panthers.
that I think when they lost that game, they're out. I think one of the other teams is going to.
There was a big swing. I think if they won it, they were like 86% to go playoffs, or if they lost, it was like 36 or something like that. But the next 4 games are at Panthers, hosting the Colts, at Bears, at Saints. Those are all winnable, depending on which Falcon team shows up.
That's true.
Certainly the first one you'd think they would win against the Panthers, but
how does our kicker, the only great player we have on our team, cost us the game?
It's a great question. I don't know. They get a lot of mediocrity
ways
floating around. It rubs off.
Yes.
I don't know.
I think the
I
coach
don't know.
stays. I'm not paying enough attention really, but I think they give him another year.
I think they do too, but I don't know if I want that to happen.
Yeah.
I don't love it. Yeah, I think you're right. I think the coach stays and they host a playoff game either this year or next. Because the division will continue to be bad. There's no reason to think any of these teams are going to be decidedly good next year. And if the Falcons do upgrade at quarterback, I think they could make a big step forward because I think some of their other pieces are good. We'll see. That's what makes it fun.
I thought their defense was getting really good, and then but with not having Grady Jarrett he's the best player on their team, and so to lose him is huge.
Yeah, that's right. All right, let's do a super quick one of these.
All right, kids. Put your thinking caps on. It's quiz time.
My mom sent me this text today. It was kind of fun. I never thought of this or saw it anywhere else. The first team to fly to an NFL game. And what year was that? I don't even know how to begin to break this down and think about it.
1972, Buffalo to Miami.
That seems perfectly reasonable. According to this, it was the Packers in 1940.
What?
Flew to play the Giants. And there's this old-timey black and white picture of the Packers in trench coats getting on the plane. It's kind of cool. 1940. That's like the beginning of World War II. Which, we had air battles and shit. That makes sense that there would be airplanes available.
When did passenger flight started before that?
Must be. Then they were pricey for a while and then they came down a little. 40 though seems really early. And football teams weren't particularly making a bunch of money then.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of interesting, right?
That is interesting. Good question.
There you go. Infotainment from Marge.
I'm surprised we haven't lost in the time. I don't want to put it out there, but I can't believe we haven't lost a team to an air disaster yet. I mean, we lost like the 69
Marshall?
We lost like the 1970 Olympic team to a plane crash, or a lot of the United States did.
Is that right?
Yeah, we lost. I only know that because of that's one of a great figure skater got lost in that too. That I know that from my youth. Yeah. So, but there's never been one for a team.
You can't come on the football podcast and talk about figure skating twice in a row. It's not acceptable behavior.
Did we talk about this last time?
Yeah, we talked about your sister beating Herschel Walker for Georgia Athlete of the Year or whatever.
Yeah. High school athlete of the year. Yes.
That still seems inconceivable to me.
It's not. Well, they probably had to have the award for somebody that would show up. She was fucking good, but I mean, you're right.
I did not mean to diminish the greatness of your sister's figure skating. But I've seen some tapes of Herschel Walker playing football as a young man,
Yes.
and it's pretty unbelievably good.
I can't believe you didn't know about that there was a plane crash with our Olympic team. That's all. And so, but anyway.
But didn't Marshall have some catastrophic plane crashed or something? Wasn't that a thing from our history? All right.
Oh, I don't even know that. I should know that. Yeah. But I think there was times when I was younger where I like, that's how much I wanted my team to get into the playoffs, that I was kind of rooting for some version of that for, somebody in front of them.
On November 14th, 1970, a chartered jet carrying most of the Marshall University football team crashed into a hillside, killing everyone on board.
Oh, yeah.
1970. That's been a while.
What was their record in 71?
Oh, that's not right. That's really funny, though.
I bet it was better than the Panthers this year.
Takes a while to retool, I imagine, after you lose everyone on board. 75 people. Oh, goodness. That's terrible. What was the thing you were saying? The Olympic team? I don't know this story either.
Late 60s, early 70s, we lost an Olympic team. Or
let's not put misinformation in the world. Let's get the facts out here. Sabina en route from New York to Brussels. 1961.
It was 61?
That's what this said. The U.S. figure skating world team plane crash.
Oh, it was just the figure skaters.
Oh, my goodness. That sucks. 18 members of the U.S. figure skating team. Yeah, headed to Prague, crashed near the Brussels airport. Oh, well, this has been both of these were a long, long time ago.
Yeah. So I'm saying we're
more than 50 years when air flight, flying around wasn't quite as safe. But yeah, same question. How was that figure skating team in 1962? Oh, it's not right.
I think it took a while. I think that vaulted Dick Button's career.
All right. None of these things have happened in the last 50 years. So
that's my point.
Don't write me any tersely worded emails about it being too soon. All right. Where do people find you, Tom Simmons? If they're trying to follow you on Instagram or whatever, where are you?
Instagram at T Simmons Comedy, TikTok, Dumbest Tom in the Room, and I have a Dumbest Tom in the Room podcast on YouTube. So you can check that out.
That's great.
And I'll be in Lincoln, Oregon, and in Chinook Woods Casino.
Lincoln, Oregon. Never even heard of that.
In the end of January, like January 26th, 27th.
Oh, Heather's in Oregon. Maybe she'll come find you.
Yeah.
I don't know how far that is from where she is. Where's Lincoln? Do you know off the top of your head?
About 90 miles from the Portland airport.
Okay. Does your cruise ship agent get you this gig? How does this gig show up?
Pat Wilson just emails you and says, "Hey, do you want to come there?" And then you say yes, and then she gives you a check after you're done, and it's nice. She gives you a list of rules: no ripped jeans, no t-shirts, no hoodies, no hats.
Right, no C words.
No, yes.
Make sure there's all the rules. Make sure you clear if you have any merch, you got to clear it with the so and so, and yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, you got to have rules.
So I just, whatever, dude. I show up and tell jokes, have fun, and
that's great.
Work on comedy.
Thanks for coming on, man. We got to run.
Yeah, man.
Kostaki.com has my tour info. What's that?
Don't we do kudos? Isn't there a segment called kudos or something? Or
we do, but I thought we'd skip it because I know you didn't see any. You were traveling. I didn't think you saw it, but you can give some kudos.
I was going to give Flacco.
Go ahead.
That's it. I was just going to give him to Joe Flacco.
I'll do this for 1 second. There you go. Joe Flacco. I love that Flacco's back. I think the Jets should be embarrassed that they didn't bring him back when they needed him. He's clearly the better quarterback of all the choices that they had. And he was cheap.
Wilson finally looked good yesterday. So it's like maybe he had his breakthrough,
Yeah, but it's too late. This was a team that could have gone to the playoffs if they had come up with a better answer earlier.
Could they have?
Yeah, because that defense is generational good, crazy good. The running game's good. That team could be really good. And then they floundered around with no quarterback for 3 months, and now it's too late. Although it is not inconceivable that Wilson will come around and be good now. I don't think that's what's going to happen, but it's possible.
Yeah, I agree. I mean, I don't know. I root for the good in people. Like root for Musk, I root for Wilson.
Yeah.
Desmond Ritter. I want them to be good.
Me too. But sometimes they're not.
Right. How important is a backup quarterback in the NFL? Like you should have 2 starters at all times.
This year, it's super important, man. If you can get a Gardner Minshew level backup. That's gold, man. I agree.
And how do you not have time to have extra reps for the second string quarterback? Like, that doesn't make any sense. Like, your starter needs every rep. They're always like, well, he hasn't been getting reps in practice. Why the fuck not? It's practice.
I've been to these training
The
camps.
second
There's
string
another
guy
field
should
right
be
there.
ready.
Go over
Yeah.
there and I'll run everything another time for everybody. Yeah, I'm with you. I agree. All right. Well, hope you get what you want on Monday night, everybody. It's fantasy playoff season. I hope that works out for you, and enjoy the football, and we'll talk to you in a week. Weird music going on. All right. Whatever it is. Thanks for listening, kids. We'll talk to you soon.